Will the skies of fifth-generation fighters forever echo only with the roar of F-35 engines? When an F-35A belonging to the U.S. Air Force and deployed at Misawa Air Base in Japan suddenly vanished from all radar screens during a training exercise on the afternoon of January the 16th, a crack silently appeared in the seemingly solid status quo. The situation was extremely tense. This stealth fighter, representing the pinnacle of American aerospace technology, had been conducting what appeared to be a routine training mission when its radar signal abruptly ceased without warning, severing all communication with ground control. More alarmingly, the pilot did not even have time to issue any form of emergency call or distress signal. Within moments, alarms blared across Misawa Air Base as emergency protocols for both U.S. and Japanese forces were simultaneously activated, plunging the operation into a state of high-intensity search and rescue. Multiple rescue aircraft scrambled into the sky, while naval vessels at sea altered course toward the presumed lost zone, launching a systematic dragnet search across the frigid expanse of sea and sky. A heavy shadow hung over everyone's minds. The F-35's checkered crash history had prepared all for the worst. Yet, approximately 2 hours after the disappearance, just as anxiety reached its peak, the ghost fighter reappeared on radar screens and ultimately landed safely back on the runway from which it had departed. While a potential catastrophe was averted, the mystery surrounding the incident quickly intensified. Subsequent briefings from both the U.S. and Japan were unusually terse and remarkably consistent, dismissing the event with a vague reference to a technical malfunction. They remained tight-lipped about whether the anomaly stemmed from the flight control system, avionics software, communication links, or the stealth coding. This near-total silence stood in stark contrast to the incident's severity, serving as a textbook example of crisis communication gone wrong. The lack of transparency only fueled international speculation and distrust rather than alleviating concerns. For numerous allied nations that have already deployed or plan to procure the F-35, this handling adds another layer of weight to nerves already frayed by the aircraft's frequent accidents. After all, this concerns not only the risk to assets worth billions of dollars, but also the safety of pilots and the stability of national air defense. Reviewing the F-35's operational history, the Misawa incident is far from isolated. Its track record of failures is littered with incidents sufficient to compile a concerning case study. In 2022, a U.S. Navy F-35C crashed into the South China Sea during a mission, triggering regional tensions and a lengthy recovery operation. Just the year prior, a brand-new Royal Navy F-35B took off from the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier, but failed to remove the engine intake waterproof cover, resulting in insufficient thrust. It slid directly into the Mediterranean Sea and required a time-consuming and costly underwater search before recovery. For Japan itself, the 2019 incident proved even more devastating. An Air Self-Defense Force F-35A crashed during training over the Pacific, killing the pilot. Wreckage scattered across the deep ocean, with parts still unrecovered to this day. Each incident erodes user nations' confidence in the aircraft. Initially, the U.S. launched the F-35 program under the concept of a world fighter, ambitiously aiming to develop 3 distinct variants: conventional takeoff and landing for the Air Force, carrier-based for the Navy, and short takeoff, vertical landing for the Marine Corps, from a single core platform. This sought to leverage economies of scale to reduce costs and monopolize the global fifth-generation fighter market. However, the complex design of one aircraft with 3 variants brought unprecedented engineering challenges, leading to severe cost overruns, repeated delays, and a constant stream of technical flaws and operational issues after delivery. Under this hegemonic logic, market strategies have left many allies in a passive and helpless position. European nations like Germany, which originally possessed the high-performance Typhoon fighter jet developed jointly with European partners, and were exploring next-generation fighter programs, ultimately decided to procure the F-35 under intense political and diplomatic pressure from the United States. This undoubtedly undermines both Germany's and Europe's defense autonomy. Japan's situation is even more emblematic. Initially favoring the F-22 Raptor for its superior air superiority capabilities, Japan was firmly denied the sale by the U.S. on grounds of secrecy. Forced to settle for the next best option, Japan proceeded with a large-scale F-35 procurement and established domestic assembly lines, a costly endeavor that leaves it dependent on others. South Korea, driven by urgent needs to counter northern pressures on the peninsula, became an enthusiastic F-35 buyer. Countries like Australia and Israel, through practical use, have also reported that while the aircraft boasts cross-generational technological advantages, it comes with complex maintenance requirements and persistently high life cycle costs. Moreover, the U.S. frequently imposes additional terms restricting user nations from conducting modifications tailored to their own needs or independent deployments, undermining both sovereignty and practicality. The fading luster of the F-35 stems not only from frequent accidents, but also from repeated delays in its promised continuous upgrades. The Block 4 software upgrade package, touted as a key capability leap, has faced multiple delays, and its performance enhancements have fallen short of expectations. Concurrently, U.S. restrictions on technology transfer, mission data file updates, and even spare parts supply have left allies who invested heavily feeling like they bought a car they cannot decide how to drive or where to repair. This widening trust deficit is quietly reshaping market expectations in the international high-end military trade arena. When the sole option becomes unreliable and shackled with constraints, the market naturally seeks alternatives. This presents a historic window of opportunity for another potential contender, China's J-35 fighter jet. As China's independently developed twin-engine medium-sized fifth-generation stealth fighter, the J-35's development closely aligns with the evolving needs of the Chinese Navy's carrier-based aviation force, showcasing Shenyang Aircraft Corporation's deep expertise in stealth technology, aerodynamic design, and avionics systems. Although no export variant has been formally announced, its demonstrated design maturity and performance potential have drawn widespread attention from international observers. China has gradually established a unique reputation in high-end weapons exports for offering advanced capabilities at reasonable prices, respecting user sovereignty, and avoiding political strings attached, a reputation evident in the successful exports and positive evaluations of the FC-1 Xiaolong fighter in countries like Pakistan and Myanmar, four nations in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Africa, and even parts of Latin America. The prospect of modernizing their air forces with an option that avoids political entanglement with a single superpower and offers more flexible cooperation models holds compelling appeal, particularly for nations with complex relations with the United States, those requiring advanced equipment while seeking to maintain strategic autonomy. The J-35, should it meet international market standards on schedule, would emerge as a compelling alternative to break monopolies and diversify procurement. Of course, the path to expansion is far from smooth. The United States will inevitably leverage its immense diplomatic influence and technological blockade systems to obstruct progress. Long-established user habits, compatibility requirements within the NATO framework, and the need for field verification of Chinese equipment's performance and reliability all represent hurdles the J-35 must overcome. However, the persistent problems exposed by the F-35 program itself act like a key, unlocking a door that was once tightly shut for later entrants. The logic of the international defense market is undergoing a subtle shift. Absolute technological superiority is diminishing, while reliability, affordability, autonomy, and geopolitical risk are gaining greater weight. Thus, the F-35A that vanished and reappeared over Misawa Air Base carries symbolic significance far beyond the incident itself. It serves as a cautionary tale, warning against the risks inherent in over-reliance on a single foreign advanced system for national security. It also compels the global community to scrutinize more seriously the potential multipolar landscape emerging in the skies ahead. Whether the J-35 can truly seize this strategic window depends not only on its ultimate hard power, but also on the wisdom and sincerity with which China's aviation industry builds a comprehensive international cooperation system, spanning pre-sales to after-sales, training to support. The era of a solo act in the global fifth-generation fighter market may be drawing to a close. A more diverse and competitive symphony is about to begin,